Welcome to this week's Powerback episode. Today, we're talking about figuring out what in the hell to do next. You have an idea, you have a vision, you have a passion, there's something calling you, something pulling you, and it gets really exciting. And then you realize how many pieces of the puzzle there are to put together, and your body fucking shuts down. So, how do you move forward when you don't have clarity? How do you move forward when something is so big that it seems impossible? That is precisely what we're going to go over today in Powerback episode 163. Before we dig into the concept of clarity, let's first talk about clarity. Because with the amazing people that I've had the honor and the privilege to work with, to guide, to mentor, and to coach, one of the biggest things that we work on is breaking something really big down into bite-sized pieces. So having a coach, having a mentor, having somebody in your corner to help get you out of your head, to hold the space to say, okay, tell me what the idea is. Let's look at it from a bird's eye view. And now let's break down and out each individual step, or at least what to do next. That is such a powerful, powerful move and investment that you can make in yourself and in your business. The goal is to build the knowledge, build the habits, build the stamina to be able to do this on your own moving forward. But look, at every stage of the game, we all need somebody in our corner. And so even if at the end of this episode, you're like, you know what, I could really just kind of use somebody by my side as I am creating and building this, I would love to be that person with and for you. You can go to LauraAura.com, book a free discovery call. Let's get to know one another. I'd love to hear about your idea and see how we move forward together. So today, let's talk about the freeze mode that happens. The methods, the ideas, the concept today applies to any type of idea or goal or vision that you're working towards. But for the purpose of today's episode and conversation together, I want to use the example of creating a new service, just because I know that many of you are owning a business. I know that many of you are growing things and have things inside of you that you want to get out and offer to your audience. And taking those next steps can feel kind of hairy, right? So just know that this can be applied to anything, but I'd like to give some meat and potatoes and context so that we can all really feel the depths of it. So let's say you're in the part of the mental cycle. If you did not catch that, it's a few Powerback episodes back. I believe it is 161, if I'm not mistaken. There is this first initial thought feeling called the aha moment. And this is when something strikes you, right? You're driving, you're in the shower, you're sitting on your front porch, you're listening to music, you're just doing something. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're like, oh my gosh, this could be awesome. This is a cool idea. I really feel drawn to this. I feel excited about this. This really makes me kind of want to put pen to paper or hands to keyboard and do this thing. Then we shift into this ideas in motion portion, which is where you are doing all the stuff, the back end stuff, meaning you're reading blogs and you are reading Instagram posts and you're writing down ideas and you're listening to podcasts and you're just diving super deep into this concept, this idea, and even your thoughts and your feelings. Now, here is where we start to round the bend and get into what I call the mental scramble. And this is where this episode kind of inserts itself right into place. Because the mental scramble is where you are overthinking the shit out of stuff. You're saying some really craptastic things to yourself, everyone's already done this before. Someone else, I just saw an Instagram post of somebody offering my idea and now I can't do it. I really want to offer the service, but what I want to charge for it, there's probably not going to be anybody that wants to pay that. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough resources. I need to read another book. I should probably take another class first, right? The mental chatter, the noise that's going on in your brain gets so fucking loud so quickly. And so what I see happen in this space with people that are trying to create a new service or that are trying to take a move forward is that it's not your idea that overwhelms you. It's not your idea that feels impossible. It's the clarity on what to do next. It's the focus of the bigness of it. It's needing to have every single detail figured out before you do anything with it. And those three things combined creates this really gnarly, hairy, ugly turd that gets in your way every single time that the idea pops into your mind. So for instance, you're like, I'm thinking about it. I'm re-engaged with it. I'm super excited about this service. So let me figure some things out. And you go to sit down and write, and your mind fucking goes blank. Or you start writing things out and then you realize, oh my gosh, there's so many pieces. I don't understand the technology behind this. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to have to go figure all these things out. And like, you can hear even in my voice how I start talking faster. Like your body's just like, oh fuck, how do I do this? And then inevitably you end up in this freeze mode where you're like, this is too much. I don't know what to do next. There are too many pieces. I don't understand everything. I don't have it all figured out. So therefore, I'm just not going to do it. And the obvious problem with that is you are stopping yourself from doing the things and giving yourself the opportunity and the chance to create something. Now, could you put time, money, and effort into creating this and it doesn't take off the way that you want it to? Absolutely. I've had that happen more times than I probably even care to admit. But it's in the process, it's in the learning, it's in the tapping into yourself and understanding what you like and what you didn't like, understanding why didn't this work, understanding what can I do differently next time, right? It's all such a learning experience, but when you're in the moment, you just like want it to be perfect. But on the flip side, it could also work out too, right? Like this thing could actually be the thing that grows your business. This could be the idea that takes you to the next financial level. This could be the speech, the video, the blog, the post that puts you on the map in your industry. And when you're not giving yourself the opportunity to try, to get clarity, to understand what to do next, then you might be missing out on a really incredible opportunity for yourself. So first, one of the biggest things that is really getting up in your brain and in your body and making things complicated is focusing on the bigness of it. How long it's going to take, how many steps there are, how many things that are involved with it, who needs to be involved, like how much time it's going to take you. I see this a lot, even when people are looking to create events. Events have like a bajillion fucking pieces in it. And if you focused on the bigness of that, it's no wonder your brain and your body is shutting down. I love to use the analogy of a house as well. When we go to build a house, are we focusing on every finish, every aspect, every piece of wood that needs to be purchased, every screw that's in every wall? No, we're focusing on what the next step is, which is deciding what the house style is, which is deciding where we're building the house, deciding, do I want one story or two, right? There are these very simple individual next steps that we need to focus on. And so that's the answer for what to do next with the bigness, which is to focus on the next step. And I'm going to walk you through a more in-depth process, but I'd like to give a little bit of context with each example. So instead of focusing on the big thing, what is one thing that you can do today? The next one, and this might even actually be the most common, which is the need to have everything figured out. You want to know who, what, where, when, how, every step on the board. You want to know every player in the game. You want to know every piece of technology. You want to know every drip campaign piece. Holy bejesus. Needing to have it all figured out before you take your next step is crushing your ability to move forward. Look, you can plan things to death. You can plan things to a T. You can even put a little fucking sparkle on it at the end. And while I know people have had success with this, I'm not saying that this is not the right thing to do, but I'm saying more often than not, going through all of those notions, you forget a really big piece. And that's, is this something that people even want? So I've done this myself. I built out this whole ass program. I put every detail into it. We built out every email sequence. We made all the graphics perfect. Like everything was like, sharp, perfect, in place. And then it launched and then it failed. There's so much time that goes by in needing to have it all figured out first. There is a lot of hesitation in that too, right? Because you feel like if I don't have it all figured out, if I don't have all the answers, then I can't talk about this. Then I can't put this out into the world. So as an experiment with myself, I was like, okay, I've heard people say, instead of building the whole ass thing, what if you start talking about it and seeing if there's interest? And so that's what I did with Realign. Realign is a short-term group coaching program where we get back in touch and realign with your mind and your business and get you a very clear, solid plan. So I started talking about it. This class wasn't built. There were no graphics. Hell, I didn't even have like a logo or even colors picked out. I just started talking about it. And wouldn't you know, some people started to raise their hand. I didn't know all the hows. I didn't know all the whats. I didn't know all the details of every step of this. I gave myself permission to take messy action. And this not only allows you to start to build momentum, it gives you clarity as you move forward, but it also lets you know, like, yeah, people are into this. This is something worth investing my time and effort into. Or, this isn't really taking off. Maybe this isn't the right idea in the right space at the right time. So what if I journal this out? What if I write this down? What if I put this in a place where maybe I come back to it in a couple of months? Your need to have every detail in place is stopping you from succeeding. And if you give yourself permission to take messy action, to start talking about things, to start working with the inner workings of it, then you can create a lot of capacity to receive the answers that you are so desperately sitting at your desk trying to force out of you. And the other one is indecision, wavering back and forth between ideas, going a little bit in and pulling a little bit out, going all in and then stopping completely. Wavering and indecision creates so much cloudiness in your energy field. It's because it's like your body and your mind and your soul, they don't know what the hell you want because we keep dabbling in a bunch of things and not following through with it. And so one of the best things that you can do is make a decision. Just if you have 4 ideas in front of you and you're like, I don't know which one to move forward with next, and I'm not sure which is the right one, pick one. Pick one. You're not going to mess it up. You're not going to screw it up. If anything, you start doing it, you're going to know very quickly if this is the thing that you want to invest your time in right now. You can always change your mind. You can always do 2 at the same time if you really want to. And just because you're focusing on one thing right now and choosing one thing right now doesn't mean that the others are going by the wayside. It just means that you're being intentional with your time and your energy. But indecision, just having all of these ideas in a notebook and not moving forward with anything, look how much lost opportunity there is, how much lost fulfillment is in those. It's okay to decide to move forward, and then you're allowed to change your mind. I think that's a really big piece that we miss out on, right? Like, you're allowed to change your mind. Just because you start on something doesn't mean it has to be your forever. So let's get some clarity on what to do next, right? Like knowing how to move forward. I gave you some examples along the way, but I want to give you a little bit of a formula to work with here. So let's say you've got the service that you want to bring to light. You're opening a business or a second business. You want to host an event. You want to host a retreat, whatever it is. Think about what it is that has kind of been coming up for you. And if it's a few things, that's okay too. The first thing that I encourage you to do is decide, am I going to move forward with this or not? Because again, the wavering back and forth between 1 foot in and 1 foot out, dancing with it, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. You got to cut that shit out. You got to decide, are you going to move forward with this or are you not? And then do just a little bit of a check-in with yourself. Do a gut check. How are you feeling about this? And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to feel a little bit overwhelmed even. We're not figuring everything out today, okay? This is the moral of this entire story. You don't have to have it all figured out in order for you to move forward. Do an energy check with yourself. How does this make you feel? Are we feeling a little bit of butterflies as well? If it's like a deep sinking, something's not quite right, those are bricks. That's your body's way of being like, this is not the right time and season for this. But if you're feeling like I'm a little bit nervous, kind of feel like I might puke a little bit, but you know what? This kind of feels exciting, kind of like being on a roller coaster, then that's your energy's way of being like, yeah, this is the right time and space. Let's do this. And also be realistic about your time and your physical and mental capacity right now. Sometimes we unintentionally set ourselves up for disappointment because we try to take on too damn much when our load's already too full. So is this idea something that you have the capacity to take on right now? Knowing that it's not all coming to fruition tomorrow, right? We don't have to do everything tonight. But if the goal is to launch this thing in the next 3 months, look at your calendar, look at your time, look at your commitment. If you've got a full ass load, maybe it's not time to go full steam with this, but you could still be doing some minor steps in the background. After you've decided, let's say, yep, Laura, I am doing this service. I'm excited to offer this. I did a gut check. I checked my time. This is the right thing. I'm really ready to move forward with this. Now's the time to do a little bit of a brain dump. Write down, what do you know? What is the general idea or concept? Who might you be selling this to? Have you thought about if this is in person or online? Have you thought about who you might need to help support you with this? This is not figuring it out. This is simply getting out of your brain what you already know. With Realign, what I brain dumped was I know that I want to help women in business get clarity on their mind, get clarity in their business, and reconnect with why they're doing this in the first place. I know that I want to help them rid of the shoulds and tap back into their wants and their desires. And I know I want to help them have a very clear plan on how to move forward. That's it. That's what I knew. And you see how simple that can be. This was literally just taking the idea that's been ruminating in my brain and putting it onto a piece of paper. I always find that incredibly empowering, by the way, because I think a lot of the stress comes from the need to remember the details. Like we're afraid we're going to lose it. Like it's a cage of butterflies that if we open up the door, everything's going to fucking fly away. So in this moment, what do you know? What is the idea? Can we put it on paper? Next, write down, same sheet of paper, what am I good at? And respectfully, what do I suck at? For me, I know that I am great at speaking. I am great at communicating. I am great at teaching. I suck at creating email campaigns and the back-end strategy and managing all the like detaily things of registration and all that kind of good stuff. I also know that I'm really good at writing and telling stories and, as I mentioned, communicating. Acknowledging what you're great at gives you a little bit of a guiding direction onto where you are moving next. Because in the same respect, if you write down and acknowledge what you're not awesome at, that might give you the inclination of who might need to jump on the bus with you. It can also help to start to kind of like gel things a little bit to say like, okay, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. So I could make a phone call or make a connection to bring somebody in to help me with the things that I don't know. And if you don't immediately have somebody in your corner, ask someone, ask a mentor, ask a coach, ask other friends in the industry, because there are people that are super awesome at the things that you suck at. And I'm going to give an enormous shout out to my online business manager, Johnette, for being absolutely fucking incredible at the things that I drag my ass on. So now I know what I'm awesome at. I know what I'm not awesome at. And so now the next step is, what is one thing that I can do today? Notice the emphasis on one. We're not taking the big thing that's already written down, right? You don't have to remember it. But now I know what I'm good at, and I can choose one thing to move forward. Examples of some one things in this scenario. I'm just going to keep using Realign because it's relevant. I can write one Instagram post talking about the idea. I could make one list loosely outlining some of the things that come to mind that I might teach. I could send one message to Johnette and ask her for her help. I could send one email. I could make one phone call. I could block one day out in my calendar to be able to work on it. And that's the final step, my friend, is taking messy action. Giving yourself permission to not need to know everything to move forward. Identifying that one thing and then giving yourself fucking permission to do it. Because here's where that clarity that you're super hungry for is, because this program may not be perfectly outlined yet. We may not know all the bells and whistles and the ups and the downs and the details of every aspect of it, but we know what it is. We know who it's for. We know what I'm great at. We know where I need help. And I know one thing that I could do today. So now I'm going to do that thing, because in the action creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity doesn't come from sitting at your desk, forcing this fucking idea out of you, from mapping out every corner of the world of this idea. It comes from giving yourself permission to take messy action, to feel into things. You're going to get so much information about your idea, about what to do, once you start that train moving forward. Like, I don't know about you, but walking up to a train on tracks that is sitting still and trying to like push it forward to get it to move at 80 miles an hour, kind of fucking impossible. That's what's happening here. We are simply recognizing that we don't have to push this whole big ass thing. All we need to do is focus on the next thing. That's where your clarity comes from. That's where you learn things. That's where you gain information. That's where like people all of a sudden start showing up. And if you take enough steps doing one single thing at a time, all of a sudden these doors are going to open. You're going to gain this clarity that like you can't force out of you. And when an idea is truly meant for you, when something is really calling, when it is your time and season to do this, the doors will open and continue to guide you. Your only job is to allow yourself to continue walking through them. I'd love to know if this was helpful for you and with you today. And again, reminder that there are resources available. This is the kind of stuff that I love to help map out with you to get things very, very simplified, to give you some clarity, to give you a guiding light on taking your next steps. Again, go to LauraAura.com and book a discovery call. And I did talk about realign quite a bit as well. I'll be launching the next round of that late this summer. So if you're interested, go to LauraAura.com/realign. That's going to give you the framework for what we're going to be focusing on and gives you a chance to sign up so that when it does launch, you'll be one of the first to know. Next week's episode, number 164, is all about the power of decision. We dug a little bit into that today. Next week, we're going to go even deeper with a beautiful, amazing guest, Allison Chavez. In the meantime, connect with me. I play the most on TikTok and Instagram. Come over, say hello, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me using @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.